Здравствуйте, товарищи, and welcome back to Stalin's Starcraft 2 Battle Report. And in this one, I got a 1 versus 1 match for you on the Steppes of War. And before I get into why I'm playing a 1 versus 1 match, I'll just say that I, the Stalinator, will be commanding the red Zerg, and my opponent, Deathfail, will be commanding the blue Protoss. So, people might be wondering, why are you playing a 1 versus 1? You said you don't play 1 versus 1. And that was true until before this, before I started playing my 1 versus 1 matches. I had not had any placement matches in the actual StarCraft game. But I was playing, some team matches, and I just kept getting stuck with deadweight allies, and I'm like, okay, I'm tired of carrying these deadweight allies. I'm gonna, go in it alone. And part of me also wanted to see if it was like something that was my fault, like if I was being if I was, lacking or something. Turns out I wasn't, because I played all 5 of my placement matches in, one sitting, and I won all 5 and got placed in the Platinum League, which was pretty sweet. So, with that, let's get, and talk about the game. This was one of my last, I think this was the last placement match, and the closest. So I decided I was going to 6-pool this one, and usually I don't 6-pool, but I wanted to see what was going on in his base. I wanted to see if he was going to go for a Zealot Rush. So I sent out these Zerglings just to kind of probe the defenses and see what was going on. And looking back on this, I probably just could have gotten a drone to do the same thing. It probably would have been better in the long run, because I would have been able to outman him, economically speaking. So anyway, my Zerglings are in the base. They're just gonna, run right by. He's gonna try and get a Zealot out as fast as he can. And he's gonna turn those probes to fight those Zerglings. And I'm gonna keep moving them around. He's gonna take out a couple of them. I was able to take out a couple probes, do a little bit of damage, but then the Zealot comes out, and he's gonna try and turn and start attacking me. And I'm going to keep dancing in and out of his range, going to keep trying to come up and bite him and attack him, and then retreat. He's able to, catch one, and I decide I'm going to turn and see if I can, take this guy down. Turns out I couldn't, because there's another Zealot out there, and this is a fight I'm probably not going to be able to win with one Zergling. So down he goes. I was going to get some more troops out there, or some more Zerglings out there more rather, and I think that's the one reason why I always seem to why 6 pools never work for me. Probably because I don't pump out Zerglings enough. I just kind of go like, you know what, 6 or 12 Zerglings enough. Now I got to focus on my economy and start teching up and everything. So that's exactly what I did. I said, okay, done with the Zergling rush. Let's get some more advanced units out there, because I saw he was going with Zealots. So I say, okay, Roaches, best defense against Zealots. In fact, Roaches are just really good defensive units all around. Like tier 1 units are just gonna get chewed up by Roaches, and by tier 1 I mean the light units like Zerglings, Marines, and Zealots. The only thing that's really effective against them in the early game is Marauders. Even Stalkers aren't so effective against Roaches, because Roaches have almost as much HP and they do more damage. The only thing is they attack slower. So I send these Zerglings out. They're just going to be like a scout for me, because I want to know if he's going to come out and when he's going to come out with his troops. So of course, here comes the Roach Warden, also going to tech to layer simultaneously. I'm trying to refine a 1 versus 1 build. I think I mentioned this in another replay, that I'm trying to, refine it to a point where I'll be easily able to defeat rushes at some point, because I kind of noticed that was my problem with Zerg, is that I got rushed sometimes, especially as you started going down the number of players in the match. So I'm adjusting and trying to build a new build that focuses on a roach kind of defense to wait off those early rushers. But anyway, we can see that he's going to try and push in with those zealots. I got some roaches and zerglings out there. Zerglings aren't going to be able to do much. Mainly a distraction, more than anything. And he decides, you know what, this is not a fight I want to fight. And he's going to pull out. And, you know, I accidentally brought my queen with me a little bit, but then I decide that she's not going to go on this adventure, and she's going to waddle back over to the creep. And also these zealots decide they're going to turn and fight, but that doesn't end well for them as they lose yet another one of their comrades as they try and desperately retreat back to home base. And the one straggler got taken down by a zergling. The zergling bit his ankles and then he just died. So now, you know, he's got a nice hefty force of zealots here. I've expanded at this point, and I'm going to bring these roaches back home. He's also got photon cannons, or is getting photon cannons up there. And I decide my present force is not going to be enough to break through that base. But what will be able to break through that base pretty easily is Mutalisks. So at this point I decide I'm going air because, one, I love Mutalisks. They're my babies. They're just awesome. Love those guys. And also I can see that he's clearly doesn't have any anti-air units out on the field. So again, he's going to try and push out with these zealots. But I've got more roaches being hatched as we speak. And already this roach force that I have currently is going to be able to do, you know, a fair amount of damage. So here comes some more reinforcements. One of these guys gets trapped. But even more roaches are joining the fight. And again, he decides, you know what, this is a fight I don't want to fight. And he's gonna flee. I'm gonna bring out the roach hordes yet again to try and chase these dudes down, but we can see at his base that he's got robotics facilities down, and he's gonna try and warp in immortals. So this guy says, okay, he's got roaches, my immortals are gonna tear up his roaches. What little did he know is that the the Mutalisks were currently hatching. And immortals not so effective against Mutalisks, mainly because they can't attack them. And, you know, when your unit can't attack another unit, it's probably not the most effective, you know, choice of forces to be using. So out these guys come, and of course I'm going to take the Mutalisk and do what I always do with Mutalisk, and that is destroy the enemy probe line. And I just always get giddy when I take these Mutalisks in and I start killing their probes. I don't know why, I just love it every single time. And he apparently doesn't notice that this is going on. So he pulls these guys back, and he's also gonna try and get out a cannon, but he doesn't have any anti-air. And then it looks like he's gonna side with his forces that he's gonna push out. Well, again, I've got even more Mutalisks joining the fight. And this was actually probably a smart move, because I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting him to attack my base with his forces. and defending the base, I only had 2 Mutalisks and a couple Roaches. Which is good because, you know, inevitably I will hold the line because these units can attack my Mutalisks. But Roaches versus Immortals, not a good bet. And I'm going to send these Mutalisks to start taking out these Immortals, picking them off. But they're going to take out my expansion. Not a whole lot, you know, I could do about that. And now he's got charge, which means that his Zealots by default are able to catch up with my Roaches. But we're able to use some micro and surround the Zealot, that Immortal, and those Zealots, and they're pretty much dead. So at this point, I got a, you know, a sizable Mutalisk squadron. I decided as long as he's got no anti-air, it's time to put on the death blow. Also, at this point, I remember this was a very calculated move by me. My idea was that I wanted to try and follow that probe to see if he was going to put down an expansion somewhere, but I found that expansion anyway. And he also tries to take these stalkers and fight me with them, but that doesn't end well for them. And of course, down goes Nexus, trying to break out of his base. Not gonna work. Not gonna let that happen. And now he's got, you know, 1 cannon defending the home base. But there's just too many Mutalisks. And I'm gonna try and take down his cybernetics score. Mainly because then if he doesn't have that, he can't build Stalkers, his only anti-air unit at this point. I'm continually moving and trying to take them down, always making sure I stay out of the range of those photon cannons, but at this point he decides, I'm done, I'm leaving the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I want to thank you for watching. As always, if you've got a replay you think is cool, make sure you send that on over. The way most people do it is they upload it to an upload site and send me that link. So with that all being said, that's it for now, and you guys take care.